This race very important for the manufacturers in nearby Motor City, Detroit. All about bragging rights. Who will get it today? Fans on their feet, glad to have you with us as the green flag waves at Michigan.
Dale Jr. has tucked up to that 48 and just pushed him by Brian Vickers through down the front straightaway.
That was risky. It looked to me like, you couldn't put a piece of paper between those two cars.
Boy, almost a mess right here. A couple of guys getting in the middle. Now they've got side by side. 66 car moving by.
Jimmy Johnson has got out front from that push from Dale Jr. We've seen this middle and high line work throughout the weekend here. We saw it work back in the first race, and then through the weekend watching these guys practice, that's where a lot of them wanted to run.
Yeah, a lot of times we see the groove on the bottom to start, and then it moves to the top. But yesterday we saw them in practice, a lot of cars already going to the top right off the bat.
DJ, is that a blessing or a bit of a curse, the fact that you've got so many options here in terms of grooves to pick from?
I think it's a good thing that you have that. As we see these guys spread out right here, this is what it's about. That's what these fans want to see, and as drivers, you'd like having all of those options.
Sam Hornish had to get out of the throttle coming off turn 2, and it kind of caused all these guys to get bottled up. See, now Sam's getting it going again.
Casey Mears was headed to Cleveland there. He came off turn 2, came all the way down across the racetrack, almost to the grass. How about Carl Edwards? He's coming on the inside, and Martin Truex is going to follow him.
Carl Edwards had the fastest car in happy hour. He's got a lot of cars to pass to get up front, but he's working the bottom of the racetrack pretty well. Yeah,
Martin probably saw that sheet too and knew he was fastest, so he's going to fall in behind him.
We mentioned the 77 car. Hornish, contact, there it is right there, right against the concrete.
Well, you don't want to hit that wall this early in the race. It can make for a long day.
Yeah, and Andy, we were talking just yesterday about how good a race he had here the first race. He had a chance to really win the race.
Yeah, I talked to him last night, actually, and he was pretty confident coming in here. I mean, he actually raced for the lead late in the race with Jimmy Johnson. Now, pit strategy kind of changed things at the end, but he had a great race car.
How about A.J. Allmendinger? You saw him making a move a moment ago. You talked in the countdown show. What a difference he has made. This team has had with a different crew chief.
Jimmy Elledge is, I've got a lot of history with Jimmy, and I got a lot of confidence in what he can do. And he's gone over there and really helped those guys a lot. They really like him, and I think this put a different chemistry in that team. And they're on the move. They're going the right direction.
Yeah, this is another team going the right direction too. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus really have their act together. Shannon?
Yeah, you guys were talking just a little bit ago about the different grooves on this racetrack. For Jimmy Johnson, his team told me that Jimmy traditionally likes to run on the bottom of the racetrack. But in practice this week, they knew that they were going to have to change as the track changed. So they worked on both sides of the racetrack, the high and low, and they felt that the car was good anywhere on the track.
Jimmy Johnson led the most laps here back in June. Started 6th, finished 6th. Doesn't really indicate how good he was. They led 65 laps. Of course, that race determined by fuel mileage. And here comes the Michael Phelps of motorsports, Kyle Busch. How good is this young phenom been? 8 wins. Yeah, Phelps got 8 gold medals. This kid's been almost unbeatable after that comeback impressive performance last week at Watkins Glen.
He is certainly a star on the rise. This guy gets it done on the racetrack.
And we see him utilizing all of the racetrack. We saw him just a few minutes ago watching. He was passing cars on the high side, and in the middle, there he goes to the very bottom of the racetrack. Mike?
You know, DJ, as good as the 18 team has been, they've had real problems on Friday afternoons, and that was no different this week. The car was extremely loose. They couldn't figure it out. They had to go to work on it throughout the day Friday, throughout the day Saturday, finally got it right. But again, this team is very used to this. In fact, they've become accustomed to having difficulty on Fridays. So much, in fact, they've labeled Fridays Freaky Fridays. And there's been many times when they've struggled in day one and gone to victory lane. They're expecting the same today.
Yeah, they seem to get it figured out by Sunday. And I tell you, I was having dinner the other night with my family and Jimmy Makars, my brother-in-law, and he told me they knew when they got Kyle Busch there that they had a wheelman. There was no doubt about that, but they've been really impressed at how much Kyle knows about the race car and how much information he can tell them and things that he's looking for in his race car. So they got what they feel like is an added bonus with that young man.
Here is the driver, DJ, you said was going to keep an eye on today, Matt Kenseth in the 17. He is typically very good here and was very good here back in June.
Yeah, it just seems like this is a racetrack that fits his style. Matt's a guy that very calculating, and as a race driver, he doesn't necessarily have to charge the corners, but he lets his car roll, and that really helps when you're racing here because you have so much space to let that car roll and get back to the gas.
Here we go. Here's Junior going to the outside. Looks like Jimmy just let him have that.
Yeah, Junior had been catching him the last couple of laps.
Sort of a replay what we saw at Watkins Glen when Kyle Busch let Tony Stewart go by and get those bonus points. And we'll see if the 48 will go back by. But I think the fans approved, the Earnhardt Nation on their feet, like watching Dale Earnhardt Jr. Remember what happened back in June? Earnhardt Jr. led 5 times for 14 laps, including the final 8. They did it on fuel mileage. He went 55 laps, and the third-generation driver was in victory lane when the day was done at Michigan.
Well, there's a pain in my side, but I can travel.